The House GOP tax bill was dropped on Monday, almost 400 pages. What's in it? What will impact you the most? I've got the top 5, that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. One of the big uncertainties this year, of course, tariffs on or off and all that. That's created a lot of uncertainty in the markets and in the economy. But one of the lesser talked about uncertainties is what's going to happen with taxes. We know that the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, those tax laws are set to expire at the end of this year. And I think it's very clear, we can confidently say that there's not just going to be a sweeping extension of those of that Tax Cut and Jobs Act. I think we can rule that out. I also think we can rule out that they're just going to allow it to sunset. There's been a lot of talk both on the campaign trail and then certainly since inauguration about, well, there's going to be a big, beautiful bill and there's going to be a couple of different bills. And so we finally, this week, have our first look, and not just talk, but our first look at what possibly could be new tax laws that could be established later this year. This is the House GOP bill. The highlights, the thing was nearly 400 pages. It's got a lot of changes to businesses or proposals for businesses and some idiosyncrasies within the tax law. But what are the things that are most likely to impact you and me? Okay, the top 5 items introduced in the GOP House bill. Let's get into it. First is the long-awaited increase to the state and local tax or SALT cap within itemized deductions. One of the frustrating things to a lot of folks, especially in large metropolitan areas or where you pay high state taxes or high property taxes within the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, was the cap, the limit that you get on your state and local and property taxes within itemized deductions. One of the original premises of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, if you remember, is you're going to be able to do your taxes on a postcard. Not a chance. It made taxes actually thicker. There were a lot more pages introduced. But part of that was we're going to increase the standard deduction, have fewer people itemize. That will make taxes simpler. Well, they did that. A lot fewer people have itemized, but taxes have gotten far more complicated. And so it didn't achieve the actual purpose, and yet people are frustrated by this limit. And I get it. If you're paying a lot of property taxes, a lot of state taxes, then that $10,000 cap that currently exists is very frustrating. Well, in the bill introduced by House GOP, it's raising that to $30,000. Now, I actually think that's a pretty generous increase. There have been a lot of folks really politicking and really pushing on this, wanting to increase it to $50,000 or even higher. A $30,000 an increase in the cap from $10,000 to $30,000 is going to mean a lot more people itemize. I think that will mean a pretty significant, or could be a significant benefit, not nearly as much as what some folks would like, but within the bill, proposing increasing this SALT cap from $10,000 to $30,000. Next item, taxes on tips, on overtimes, even auto loan interest that's all included within the bill. There was a lot of campaign promises on both sides to no longer tax tips or overtime, and within the bill, both of those would be exempt from income tax through 2028. I have no idea, guys, administratively, how in the world this is going to happen. How is that going to be positive? Think about your W-2. And I'm sorry for geeking out. But I thought this and felt this back during before the election as well, when both sides were campaigning this. I have no idea how this is going to work. Think about your W-2. Is there going to be now another line on your W-2 that's going to break out tips or overtime? And who's going to be policing that? I joked, or actually had a friend of mine joke with me as well and said, all I'm going to work is overtime. That's it. You'll never see me again. All I'm going to do is work overtime. Well, he works for the government. So wait a second, is that going to be healthy? Is that going to be is he going to be offering his very best at his duties? And so, like, how are they going to enforce, or how are they going to track this? How's this going to work? Because that's an enormous incentive. Will tips, and over time, will it calculate or will it count towards adjusted gross income limitations and phase people out of credit, or is it completely off the tax return altogether? What about FICA taxes? And I'm assuming that might be in the bill somewhere inside the 400 pages, but again, this is not law. This is just sort of proposal and getting things to the negotiating floor. But if it's not included in FICA tax, you might say, yeah, that's even better. And yet at the same time, that means it's not counting towards your Social Security. So there's a give and take there. Those details I'm not clear on. And this, I think there was enough discussion about this that I think there's momentum here. I'm just not sure how it's going to work itself out. And then the other part kind of tucked into this update is interest on auto loans would also be a deduction as well. Like I said, all three of these would be in place until the end of 2028. And actually, if this law passes the way the bill has it laid out, this would actually take effect right now, starting in 2025, retroactive to the beginning of the year. A similar campaign promise on both sides is we're going to stop taxing Social Security. That is not in this bill. And that is a frustration. Those of you fans of the Wise Money Show know that is a huge frustration of mine. It's frustrating that it's not in this bill. Instead, there's a extra deduction as part of the standard deduction for the elderly, okay? And so this would be an extra $4,000 of standard deduction that if you're age 65 or older, you would get this as long as your income is below certain levels. And the idea was, hey, because they couldn't exempt Social Security from tax, they would add this extra bonus deduction, and that would help offset. Guys, it doesn't offset. Nah, it's a benefit. Yep, absolutely. But yeah, missed opportunity in my opinion. Not in this bill is a millionaire tax. There's no millionaire tax listed in here. If you recall, or hearing some of the folks talk about it, they were proposing an income tax level that starts at if your income's $1 million or more, you're going to be catapulted into this higher tax bracket. The administration said, no, make that 2.5 million. It's not even in the bill. And so we'll see what the Senate comes up with and how this is debated, but not in the bill is an elevated millionaire's tax is what they've been calling it, where if your income's $1 million or higher, you'll be catapulted to a higher tax rate. That's not in the bill. And then finally, rounding out my top 5 of most important tax law proposed changes within the GOP, the House GOP bill, is an increase to the child tax credit. You know that this level has been fluctuating quite a bit. It used to be $1,000 for any child that you have under the age of 17, the year they turn age 17, you no longer get that tax credit. Bizarre that's the age. It was like that for a long time, well over a decade, and then it moved to $2,000, and then it got moved around quite a bit during the COVID years, and some of the stimulus packages even moved the age to 18 and had varying levels of credit depending on how old your kids were. Within the House GOP bill, moving the tax credit from $2,000 to $2,500 for each qualifying child. Not tinkering with the ages, not that I saw, but increasing the amount from $2,000 to $2,500, and that would go through 2028 as well. So there you have it, my top 5 changes proposed within the House GOP tax bill that was just dropped this week that are most likely to impact you and your tax planning. There's a lot more that's baked in to this tax bill, and obviously there's going to be a lot more that will be negotiated and discussed and through Senate bill and all of that. So we'll see how this shakes out. I think potentially too early to start making a lot of big concrete tax planning decisions off of, but hopefully this helps you with your awareness so that if you're thinking, hey, I might be doing a Roth conversion and wait a second, that would push me above some of these limits where I might not get some of these deductions, at least you're aware of that. Work with your certified financial planner on that. Tax planning, being opportunistic with tax laws and opportunities to pay the least amount of tax either this year or throughout your lifetime. That's part of comprehensive financial planning. So make sure you're working with your CFP in all 6 areas. If you don't have a CFP on your team that can help you with that, you can always contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.